At one level, we're very much the same. People are the same all over the world, and at some levels, we have children. We look after them. We sometimes get sick. Sometimes we get upset. Sometimes we're really happy and joyous, and we die. And all of those things are similar. So on one level, there's sameness about all of us. That's wonderful. At another level, they have it's another culture, particularly remote communities. They've got their own sense of community and that wider extended sense of family. And that family gives them a real sense of connection to each other and to the land they're in and to their people. And that's really powerful. And I think there are differences, and whereas the white Western culture is very focused on material things and seeing people as individuals who are striving to do their best at that level, they have a more communal culture, which has lots of really positive and some negative sides, just as ours has lots of positive and some negative sides.
Gerda, I remember when we were talking yesterday, you indicated that their mystical sort of side, and you were referring to the old man who travelled the 80 kilometres. I wonder if you could sort of just relay that brief story again, because it was very interesting.
Well, that was a story that was told to me by a Nunkari, who's a local traditional healer, and she remembered an elderly man who would start to walk from the community, which is about 80 kilometres from Alice, and set out on the road, and then he would just have arrived in Alice Springs. So she didn't say how he managed to do that, but he just did manage to do it. And they do, I think they're much more in tune with all of that than what we are, and they have a great ability to have an awareness of where people are, even if they can't see them. Sometimes what might be happening to someone, whether it's through a dream or a sixth sense, they're still finely attuned to that. And as Chris was saying, like their sense of family and community is fantastic, and something that we have really lost because we've got this huge attachment to material things, whereas their attachment is to family and extended family and local community and their culture and their law and things like that. And even though that gets really broken in the process by the influences around them, it's still, when it comes to the crunch, that's the most important thing. And you can see that in their lack of attachment to material things, which often blows us away when a car is just left by the side of the road and it broke down, so you just leave it because it's not really that important. And they'll get another car somewhere else or get a lift from someone, whereas we sort of would never think of just abandoning our car because we've paid the insurance on it, or we haven't paid the insurance, or we're not going to leave something that important behind.
My sense is that Aboriginal culture here in Australia has a lot to teach white people, and sadly most white people, and I have done this as well, come in and see ourselves as the saviours and the ones with the answers, or the rescuers, and we're trying to rescue them to become like us, whereas the culture that we have has weaknesses as well. And some of the issues they face, we face also. How to support our young people to grow up to be the people they want to be and to be responsibly part of the community. And those are issues white Australians need to deal with as well as Aboriginal Australians.
When we talked a little bit earlier about the Northern Territory intervention, given the child abuse stuff, you mentioned that they need to be empowerment's one of the answers rather than taking things away and perhaps controlling them more. What sort of suggestions would you have in respect of empowerment?
Well, I think a lot appropriate and timely consultation that is not tokenistic, because the consultations that happen are tokenistic, and sometimes they don't even make the effort to let a community know that someone's coming out to supposedly consult with the community, and they'll just talk to one or two people who happen to be outside the shop and then go back and tick the box on their form to say they've consulted. Housing is a good example of that, where people have often put forward plans for a housing layout in terms of an internal of a house or verandas or whatever, to say that this sort of house would suit our sort of family makeup and extended family makeup. And consistently the government delivers 3-bedroom brick boxes with things like the bathroom at the end of the corridor and the bathroom and toilet at the end of the corridor, and traditionally it's not okay for an Aboriginal man and an Aboriginal woman to pass each other in a corridor, especially if you're going to something like a bathroom. So, you know, the tension that creates for people then, and the size of the rooms, and not enough outside covered space and things like that. It's just crazy.
The core of it is that we haven't found a way of really talking and listening to each other's culture and to listen respectfully. A lot of very well-intentioned white people are coming from their own frameworks and see that they believe they have no option but to work within our cultural framework, which is to let Alice Springs or Darwin or Canberra make the decision. And until they actually dialogue and the people feel strong enough to dialogue as equals, as partners with white people and those resources, we won't ever have significant partnerships that will create change. And I think finding ways of listening to them, and they know how they need to, or they will discover how they need to empower themselves to get that sense of who they are and to live together. We're all going to have to change to survive in the years to come.
Now that's a really profound statement. I'd like to thank you both for participating in this interview, and also to thank you for all the work you've both done, which I think I've just got to the tip of the iceberg in this interview. But thank you very much, and I wish you all the best in the future.
Thank you.
Thank you.